Multiple casualties were pinned down, and the radio from Team 5 just cut out in a blast of static and automatic gunfire. Deep in the dense woods of Cordova, 8 elite operators were being wiped out by a perfectly executed ambush. Surrounded by an enemy force roughly 3 times their size, every other asset was too far away. Air support was grounded by weather. The quick reaction force wouldn't make it in time, but there was one person close enough to help. Someone the SEAL commander had explicitly asked not to assign to his operation. Staff Sergeant Jordan Reyes, 26, the sniper the whole special operations community whispered about but never fully trusted. Too young, they said, too unproven, too female. Over the next 4 hours, though, as Jordan ghosted through that forest with her suppressed rifle, speaking soft, deadly truths, she would teach them a lesson they wouldn't forget. The deadliest predator in any wood is the one you never see coming. And when a SEAL team is surrounded by enemies who think they've already won, salvation sometimes arrives not with a roar, but with the quiet, precise work of a sniper who refuses to let warriors die on her watch. 12 hours earlier, the mission briefing room at the forward operating base hummed with the controlled energy of operators preparing for deployment. Maps covered the walls, satellite imagery glowed on screens, and Commander Marcus Okonkwo stood at the front, his jaw set tight as he addressed the operations officer. "I want Henderson on overwatch," he told Major Fletcher. "Not the girl. Reyes is our best available sniper," the major replied steadily. "Henderson is on another mission. Then get someone else. Anyone else." Okonkwo's voice carried the weight of absolute certainty. "This is a Tier 1 operation. We need someone we can count on, not some diversity hire who will freeze when the shooting starts." Jordan had been standing right there in the back of the room. She heard every word and felt that familiar sting of dismissal, not for her record, but because of her gender. She said nothing, waiting for orders. Arguing would only confirm their bias. She had learned that lesson years ago. Major Fletcher stood firm, his voice cutting through the tension. "Reyes goes. She is the best we have available, and your team needs Overwatch." End of discussion. Jordan remained silent, her face composed, her hazel eyes giving nothing away. At 5 feet 5 inches with auburn hair pulled into a tight braid, she knew she didn't fit the image most people expected when they heard the word sniper. Lean and athletic, she had spent 4 years proving herself in a world that questioned her presence every single day. Her call sign was Phantom, not because she was quiet, but because enemy fighters kept dying without ever knowing she was there. Her record spoke volumes to those willing to listen. 207 combat missions logged. 43 confirmed kills before today. For years, as a qualified sniper with more trigger time than operators twice her age. Numbers that should have bought her respect. In the male-dominated world of special operations support, though, respect was something she still had to fight for every single day. Okonkwo turned away, his dismissal complete. He gathered his team leaders and began the final mission brief without acknowledging Jordan further. She watched from her position, memorizing every detail of the operation. Team 5 would scout a suspected enemy supply route deep in the forests of Cordova. Intelligence suggested heavy activity in the region. The SEALs would move in, gather information, and extract. Jordan would provide overwatch from a distance, invisible in the tree line, her MK-20 SSR rifle ready, but hopefully unnecessary. The commander made his preference brutally clear throughout the brief, directing questions and coordination to every team member except her. When he discussed extraction contingencies, he looked past her as though she were furniture. When he reviewed communication protocols, he addressed the radio operator, but not the sniper who would be their guardian angel from above. Jordan absorbed it all without reaction. She had developed thick skin over the years, a protective layer built from countless moments just like this one. The doubts, the dismissals, the assumption that she was a checkbox on some diversity roster rather than a warrior who had earned her place through blood and skill. Staff Sergeant Jordan Reyes lay perfectly still in her hide, breathing slow and controlled. Her MK-20 SSR semi-automatic sniper rifle settled on its bipod, with the familiarity earned from thousands of hours of practice. At 26, she had been a sniper for 4 years, logged over 200 combat missions, and had 43 confirmed kills, numbers that should have bought her respect. In the male-dominated world of special operations support, though, respect was something she still had to fight for every day. Her position on the ridge, overlooking the valley, gave her perfect visibility. Through her scope, she could pick them out clearly. 8 shadows in tactical gear advancing in perfect formation below. Professionals doing what they do best. Team 5 moved through the dense forest of Cordova with practiced precision, each operator maintaining proper spacing and sector awareness. Her radio crackled softly with Commander Okonkwo's voice. "Phantom, this is 5 Actual. We are closing in on Waypoint Charlie. Any sign of movement in your sector?" Jordan swept her scope across the tree line, checking angles and sight lines for anything out of place. The forest appeared calm, undisturbed. Birds moved through the canopy. Wind rustled leaves in normal patterns. Nothing triggered her instincts yet. 5 Actual, this is Phantom. Your path looks clean. No contacts in view. Okonkwo's voice came back clipped, all business. She could hear the edge of doubt beneath it. He didn't trust her, didn't want her on this mission, and wasn't even trying to hide it. Copy that, Phantom. Maintain Overwatch. Jordan shoved the thought aside and locked in on her task. She wasn't here to win his approval. She was here to keep his team breathing. That was the only thing that mattered. Her hazel eyes tracked every movement below, her mind processing hundreds of data points simultaneously. Wind speed, light conditions, potential threat vectors, escape routes. The SEALs pressed deeper into the valley, following a trail that intelligence suggested was used for enemy supply runs. Jordan tracked them through her glass, scanning constantly, watching for danger. Her breathing remained steady, her heart rate controlled. This was what she had trained for, what she had proven herself capable of doing despite every obstacle placed in her path. That's when she noticed it. Subtle, almost nothing. A flicker in the brush about 200 meters off their left flank. Then another to their right. Then movement ahead. Her pulse quickened, but her hands stayed steady. Years of training and discipline took over. She zoomed in carefully, adjusting her scope's magnification to get a clearer picture. Her gut clenched cold. Roughly 30 fighters moving with discipline, sliding into classic ambush positions, circling Team 5 like wolves closing on prey. They wore mixed tactical gear, carried AK pattern rifles, and moved with the coordination of experienced fighters. This wasn't a random patrol. This was a planned kill zone. 5 Actual, Phantom. Stop movement now. Her voice was urgent but level, projecting calm authority despite the adrenaline beginning to flood her system. You've got about 30 hostiles setting ambush points around your position. They are building a kill zone. Silence filled the radio. She could picture Okonkwo below, scanning with his own eyes, seeing nothing through the dense forest cover. Then his skeptical reply came through, tinged with doubt and frustration. Phantom, we have no eyes on anyone. You certain? Jordan took a breath, keeping her voice professional and controlled. Affirmative. At least 30, maybe more. Already forming a perimeter. They are waiting for you to walk straight into it. Another pause. She could almost hear the debate in his head. Trust the female sniper he had dismissed or rely on his team's empty visuals. Every second of hesitation brought them closer to disaster. She watched through her scope as more enemy fighters moved into position, tightening the noose. Phantom, we're not seeing anything. Maintain position. Jordan's jaw tightened. She had done her job. She had spotted the threat and reported it clearly. But the commander who had called her a diversity hire, who had said she would freeze when shooting started, refused to trust her assessment. The SEALs continued moving forward, walking directly toward the carefully prepared trap. Through her scope, she watched the enemy fighters settle into final positions. Weapons ready, fields of fire established, discipline maintained. They were good, well-trained and patient. They would wait until Team 5 was fully inside the kill zone before opening fire. Jordan's finger rested near her trigger, her mind already calculating ranges and angles. If this went wrong, if Okonkwo's skepticism cost lives, she would have seconds to respond. Her breathing slowed further, entering that focused state where the world narrowed to scope and target. She tracked the SEAL team below, tracked the enemy positions surrounding them, and waited. And then the forest erupted. A SEAL stepped on a buried pressure plate, detonating an IED with a thunderclap that tore through the forest. The blast hurled men and gear like ragdolls, the shockwave rippling through the trees. In an instant, gunfire rained in from all sides as enemy fighters unleashed on the stunned Americans. The carefully planned ambush had been sprung with devastating precision. "Contact! We are taking heavy fire." Commander Okonkwo's voice was stripped of skepticism now. Only desperation remained, the raw sound of a leader watching his team get torn apart. Pinned down, multiple wounded. Jordan watched through her scope as chaos swallowed them whole. The 8 operators of Team 5 scrambled for cover behind rocks and fallen timber, returning fire in controlled bursts even as they dragged wounded teammates to safer positions. Outnumbered 4-1, bleeding, running low on ammunition, the SEAL team was being crushed in the trap she had warned them about. Okonkwo's voice came through again, tight with controlled panic. "Control, this is 5 actual. We are engaged by superior forces. We have casualties and need immediate support." His training kept his voice steady, but Jordan could hear the truth beneath it. They were dying down there. Command's reply hit like a cold slap. 5 actual. Weather has grounded all air assets. QRF is mobilizing, but ETA is 4-5 minutes. Jordan's mind calculated instantly. The SEALs would be dead in 10. She watched enemy fighters maneuvering for better angles, preparing to overrun the position. Machine gun fire raked the rocks where Team 5 sheltered. An RPG gunner moved into position, preparing to deliver a killing shot that would eliminate what little cover the Americans had left. "I am engaging," Jordan said into her radio, her voice calm and direct. "Negative, Phantom." Okonkwo's reply came fast. "You are 1 shooter against 30+ hostiles. You need to maintain position and call for backup." Commander Okonkwo cut off, but Jordan interrupted, cool and unwavering. "With respect, sir, you are about to die if someone doesn't do something. I can see the whole battlefield. You cannot. Trust me or don't, but I am engaging." She didn't wait for permission. Her training, her instincts, and her conscience all aligned in that moment. 8 men were dying below, and she was the only person in position to help them. Nothing else mattered. Not Okonkwo's earlier dismissal, not his lack of trust, not the career consequences of disobeying a direct order. Through her scope, Jordan picked out the first threat. The RPG gunner preparing his shot at the SEAL position, crouched behind a fallen tree approximately 387 meters from her hide. She calculated instantly. Range, wind 3 miles per hour from the east, slight downhill elevation, target partially obscured by vegetation. Her breath even out, entering that zone where time seemed to slow. Her finger settled on the trigger with the practiced touch of thousands of repetitions. The world shrank to rifle, crosshair, target. Everything else fell away. The sounds of battle, the radio chatter, the knowledge that 30 enemy fighters would be hunting for her the moment she revealed her position. None of it mattered. She squeezed. The suppressed MK-20 SSR expelled a soft cough, more like a heavy exhale than a gunshot. The rifle's advanced suppressor eliminated the muzzle flash and reduced the sound signature to nearly nothing. Through her scope, she watched the RPG gunner fold, a neat entry through the forehead. The rocket-propelled grenade clattered unfired to the ground. 1 down. Jordan shifted smoothly, muscle memory guiding her movements. She acquired the next target, a machine gunner hammering the SEAL position from 412 meters. The enemy fighter was focused entirely on Team 5, unaware that death was finding him from Invisible Angel. She adjusted for the increased range and shifting wind, let her breath settle, and squeezed again. The suppressed rifle whispered its second truth. The machine gunner collapsed across his weapon. 2 down. Jordan moved through that enemy ring like the shadow her call sign promised. Her rifle spoke in quiet whispers, each whisper meaning another fighter hit before they even knew they were being hunted. There was no muzzle flash to give her away, no booming signature the enemy could triangulate. Just men dropping one after another, confusion spreading through their ranks like poison. "Phantom, what the hell are you doing?" Okonkwo's voice cracked through the radio with a mix of disbelief and something that sounded almost like awe. "They're dropping like flies." "Doing my job, sir," Jordan replied calmly as she found another target through her scope. "Stay down and let me work." 3 down, 4 down, 5 down. The enemy force that had moved with such discipline and confidence minutes earlier now faltered, their fighters keeling over with no visible source of fire. Jordan exploited the chaos ruthlessly, shifting slightly along the ridge line to change angles and deny detection. 6 down, 7 down, 8 down. Each shot was surgical, each movement calculated. She had become the predator these fighters never saw coming, the invisible force dismantling their perfect ambush one precise round at a time. An enemy officer rose from cover, shouting and pointing, trying to rally his scattered fighters. Jordan tracked him smoothly, adjusted for the 434-meter range, compensated for the crosswind that had shifted slightly east, and put a round through his chest. He dropped mid-sentence, his commands dying with him. 9 down. The enemy line began to fray. They hadn't planned to be hunted by an invisible predator. Their ambush had depended on surprise, overwhelming firepower, and the advantage of superior numbers. Now, their fighters were falling without warning, without any visible threat they could engage. Panic wormed through their ranks. 5 actual. "Enemy breaking on your western flank," Jordan reported calmly, even as she dropped the 10th fighter. "If you can push west, you can break out of the kill zone." Okonkwo's response came fast, his voice strained. "We have 3 wounded who cannot move fast. The 5 mobile operators provide covering fire while I suppress. Move on my mark in 30 seconds." Jordan instructed with the confidence of someone who could see the entire battlefield, while those below fought blind in the chaos. "There are still at least 20 hostiles out there," Okonkwo said, the doubt creeping back into his voice even as she saved his life. "Not for long," Jordan replied, her voice composed and unwavering. She continued her deadly work. An enemy fighter attempted to flank the SEAL position from the north. Jordan's rifle answered before he made it 3 steps. 11 down. Another tried to set up a new machine gun position. 12 down. A squad leader gestured frantically, organizing a counter-assault. 13 down before his orders reached his men. Marking 3, 2, 1, Jordan counted down with absolute calm. The 5 mobile SEALs opened controlled bursts of covering fire and began moving their wounded toward the western edge of the kill zone. Each time an enemy fighter exposed himself to stem the withdrawal, Jordan's rifle answered with that quiet cough that had become the sound of salvation. 14 down. 15 down. The enemy force that had started with superior numbers and perfect positioning was breaking under the psychological pressure of being hunted by someone they could neither see nor find. Nearly half their fighters lay dead or dying, cut down by precision fire from a ghost. The fight crumbled like sand. "They are running," Travis Foster shouted over the radio, his voice carrying disbelief and relief in equal measure. It was true. The force that had executed such a well-planned ambush was now in full retreat, scattered remnants fleeing through the forest. Their advantage had evaporated, replaced by the primal fear of being prey instead of predators. They ran without coordination, without leadership, desperate to put distance between themselves and the phantom who had torn them apart. 5 actual. Enemy in full retreat, Jordan reported, still tracking targets through her scope in case any regrouped. "Continue moving west. I will cover extraction." Commander Okonkwo's voice had changed completely. The skepticism was gone, replaced by respect, wonder, something close to both. "Phantom, how many did you eliminate?" 15 confirmed, Jordan answered calmly, her eyes still scanning for threats. "Focus on getting your wounded out, sir." We can count later. The SEALs carried their wounded through the trees while Jordan kept overwatch, her rifle ready, her focus absolute. Twice more the enemy attempted to reorganize for a counterattack. Twice more Jordan's suppressed rifle whispered, and they fell, their attempts crushed before they could materialize into genuine threats. By the time Team 5 hit the extraction point, the ambush had completely unraveled. What began as a well-organized force of 30-plus fighters was reduced to scattered remnants running through the woods, desperate to escape the invisible hunter who had turned their perfect trap into a massacre. They had planned to annihilate 8 Americans. Instead, they had been decimated by one woman with a rifle and the skill to use it. The quick reaction force rolled in with medevac birds, their rotors beating the air as they descended into the clearing. Medical personnel rushed forward, loading wounded SEALs for evacuation. Jordan stayed in overwatch until every man was aboard, her rifle trained on the tree-line, ensuring no last-minute attack could threaten her brothers. Only when the last operator was secured did she ease down from the ridge, moving through the forest with the same ghost-like silence that had defined her entire performance. When Jordan stepped out of the tree-line, her MK-20 SSR slung across her back, the still mobile SEALs turned to look at her. Hard-seasoned warriors who had done more combat than most troops see in a lifetime, their faces shifting from shock to awe to something like reverence. These were men who had seen everything war could offer, yet they stared at her as though witnessing something beyond their experience. Commander Marcus Okonkwo came forward limping, one leg wounded. Dirt and blood smeared his face, none of it his own, and his eyes held something Jordan hadn't seen directed at her before. Genuine respect, mixed with a hard private shame. He stopped in front of her, his posture formal despite the exhaustion weighing on every line of his body. "Staff Sergeant Reyes," he said first in the formal tone of a commander, then faltered, searching for words that seemed inadequate for what had just occurred. Jordan snapped to attention despite the exhaustion that pressed at her bones. "Sir." Okonkwo studied her a long moment, then extended his hand. "I owe you an apology." His voice was rough, stripped of the earlier arrogance. "And I owe you my life and the lives of 7 other men." Jordan shook his hand firmly. "Just doing my job, sir." His laugh was a dry thing with no humor in it. "Your job. Do you know what you just did? You engaged a superior enemy force alone. You eliminated 15 hostile combatants, 15 with precision from distance while they had no clue where the fire came from. You turned a complete tactical disaster into a successful extraction with no friendly Kia." His voice dropped lower, the words coming harder now. "And you did it after I specifically asked that you not be assigned to this mission because I didn't think a woman could handle the pressure." The other SEALs had gathered close, listening. A younger operator with a bandaged arm spoke up, his tone carrying the weight of confession. "LT, before the mission, I heard you say Reyes would freeze when shooting started." Okonkwo didn't look away from Jordan. "I did say that. I was wrong. Completely, absolutely, inexcusably wrong." He turned to address the team, his voice carrying authority but also humility. "Listen up. Today we learned something important. Prejudice can kill you. Judging skill by gender isn't just wrong, it's deadly. And Staff Sergeant Jordan Reyes is not just competent. She is one of the best I have ever seen in my career." He faced Jordan again, his eyes meeting hers with an intensity born of hard-earned understanding. "I don't know how you did what you did out there. 15 kills while moving positions, keeping perfect accuracy, tracking multiple targets across a shifting battlefield, and still giving tactical guidance over comms. That isn't just good shooting. That's mastery." "Sir," Jordan began, but Okonkwo held up a hand. "Let me finish." His tone was firm, but not unkind. "Before today, I didn't want you on my team. After today, I am requesting you be permanently assigned to Team 5 support operations, if you will accept." Jordan glanced around at the nods, the respect in their eyes, the acknowledgement of a warrior who had proved herself when it mattered most. The same men who had stood silent in that briefing room while she was dismissed now looked at her as one of their own. "I will be honored, sir." Travis Foster stepped forward, the burly operator whose skepticism had been as loud as Okonkwo's. "Reyes, I gotta ask, how the hell did you spot that ambush before we did? We had point men, we had all our sensors, and we saw nothing. How did you spot them from 800 meters away?" Jordan let herself smile briefly, the tension finally easing from her shoulders. "Sir, with respect, you were scanning for an enemy in front of you. I was looking for an enemy everywhere. I wasn't just looking," she added. "I was reading the forest. The way birds fall silent in pockets. The odd stillness. The slight compression of brush where men have taken positions. You have to notice what isn't there as much as what is." Foster muttered something under his breath, shaking his head in amazement. "How long have you been doing this?" "My whole life, sir." Jordan's voice carried a note of quiet pride. "Grew up in rural Colorado. My father was a hunting guide. He taught me to track elk through mountains and see signs most miss. The Army just gave me better tools and tougher targets." Sam Gwynn, the team medic, spoke up next, his voice carrying professional curiosity mixed with genuine awe. "Those shots, some of them had to be through forest cover at over 400 meters with wind and moving targets. That is not normal." "Normal is what you make it, sir," Jordan replied calmly. "I practice 8 hours a day when I am not on mission. I know my rifle like it is part of my body. I know exactly what it will do at every range, in every condition. I do not take shots I am not sure of." 15 for 15, Okonkwo said quietly, shaking his head in disbelief. 15 shots, 15 kills. Flawless performance under the worst conditions imaginable. The brass needs to know about this. What you did today goes in reports that will reach the Pentagon. "Sir," Jordan answered carefully, "I would prefer to just do my job quietly." "Too late for that, Reyes." Okonkwo actually smiled, though it was edged with exhaustion. "You just got famous in the special operations community. The sniper who saved Team 5. The phantom who hunted the hunters." As the hours passed and the team debriefed while medics treated wounds, more details about Jordan's performance came to light. Her rifle's data log showed shots from 287 to 458 meters. She had engaged 15 targets across a 600-meter spread, while moving position 3 times to keep optimal angles. Her average time between shots was 18 seconds, accounting for target acquisition, range calculation, wind adjustment, and the shot itself. "These numbers are insane," the operations officer said as he reviewed the file later, his voice tinged with disbelief. "This is sniper work we rarely see even from our most seasoned shooters. And you did this at 26 in your first hot support for a SEAL team." "No, sir," Jordan corrected politely. "This was my 47th combat mission. Just my first supporting team, 5. Major Fletcher scanned her record more carefully, his expression hardening as he read. 47 missions, 43 confirmed kills before today. Multiple commendations, combat action badge. Why the hell aren't you already at the advanced sniper course?" "I applied 3 times, sir," Jordan said, her voice neutral but her eyes revealing old wounds. "Denied each time. On what grounds?" Fletcher demanded. She met his gaze steadily. "Officially, operational needs. Unofficially, the course commander told me they weren't sure how a woman would handle the pressure." The operations officer's face hardened with anger. "That ends now. I am putting you in for the advanced course effective immediately, and I'm calling the course commander myself to make sure your application is approved. What happened today proves you don't just handle pressure, you thrive under it." 3 days later, Jordan was summoned to a meeting at the forward operating base. She walked in expecting another debrief, maybe a round of follow-up questions about the fight. Instead, the room was packed with senior brass. The Regional Special Operations Forces commander, the task force commanding officer, and to her surprise, a 2-star general she didn't recognize. Every officer in the room came to attention as Jordan entered. She saluted, thrown by the formality. The general returned it, then smiled. "At E Staff Sergeant, I am General Naomi Ellsworth, Commanding General of Special Operations Forces Command. I flew in specifically to meet you." "Ma'am," Jordan replied, uncertain what else to say. "I have read the reports on the Team 5 engagement multiple times," Ellsworth said, moving closer, her sharp eyes studying Jordan with intense focus. Because honestly, I had trouble believing them. 15 enemy combatants eliminated with 15 shots. 0 friendly killed in action. A SEAL team pulled out alive from what should have been a massacre. And you did this after the team leader specifically asked that you not be assigned because he didn't trust a female sniper. I was just doing my job, ma'am, Jordan said, the phrase feeling inadequate even as she spoke it. Your job. General Ellsworth gave a faint smile. I have heard you say that. But Staff Sergeant Reyes, what you pulled off goes far beyond just doing your job. The tactical awareness, marksmanship, and decision-making under fire ranks among the best sniper performances I have ever seen recorded, and I have been in special operations 24 years. General Ellsworth paused, then added with a tone that carried both praise and acknowledgement of injustice. I also know you have been denied the advanced sniper course 3 times despite a record that should have guaranteed you a slot. Yes, ma'am, Jordan confirmed quietly. You're not only going to the advanced course, you are being assigned to the Special Operations Sniper Training Battalion as an instructor. Ellsworth's words landed with the weight of a life-changing order. We need someone who can teach the next generation not just how to fire a rifle, but how to think like you do, how to see what others miss, how to function under impossible pressure. Jordan's eyes widened despite her attempt to maintain composure. Ma'am, I am honored, but I do not know if I am qualified to teach at that level. You're not sure? Ellsworth's voice was sharp, but not unkind. Staff Sergeant, you just saved 8 lives while being doubted by the very men you were protecting. You pulled off shots that other snipers call impossible. And you did it all while carrying the weight of being a woman in a field that constantly questions whether you belong. If that doesn't qualify you to teach, nothing does. Commander Marcus Okonkwo stepped forward. Jordan hadn't realized he was in the room. General, if I may. Go ahead, Commander, Ellsworth said. Okonkwo turned to Jordan, his expression carrying the weight of genuine remorse and respect. Reyes, I have already submitted a formal request for you to be awarded the Silver Star. You engaged a superior enemy force to protect friendlies at enormous risk to yourself. You showed exceptional courage and skill, and you saved 8 American lives, including mine. He hesitated, his voice roughening with emotion. But more than that, you taught me something I should have already known. That warriors come in all forms, and that the most dangerous mistake a commander can make is judging ability by gender instead of skill. He extended his hand again. Thank you for saving my team, and thank you for making me a better officer. Jordan shook his hand, moved deeply by the transformation she witnessed in this man who had dismissed her so completely just days before. Sir, what matters is that you are willing to learn. That is what makes a good leader. General Ellsworth spoke again, her voice carrying both challenge and curiosity. Staff Sergeant Reyes, there is one more thing. The community you are about to join, advanced snipers and special operations instructors, is even more male-dominated than where you have been. You're going to face skepticism, resistance, and people convinced you don't belong. How will you handle that? Jordan paused, gathering her thoughts, then answered with quiet confidence that came from years of proving herself. The same way I always have, ma'am. By doing my job to the best of my ability, proving my worth through performance instead of words, and remembering I don't need everyone to believe in me. I just need to believe in myself. The results will speak for themselves. Ellsworth smiled broadly, genuine warmth breaking through her professional demeanor. Outstanding answer. Welcome to the Advanced Special Operations Community Staff Sergeant. You have earned your place here. Now go show everyone else what we already know, that excellence has no gender. The meeting ended, and as Jordan stepped out into the bright sunlight, Travis Foster intercepted her. Hey Reyes, got something for you. He held out a small patch. The seal, trident insignia, the symbol worn by warriors who had endured some of the hardest training in the world. Jordan stared at it, understanding the significance immediately. Sir, I cannot accept that. I'm not a SEAL, she said, her voice tight with emotion. No, you are not, Foster said simply. But you are family now. You bled for us, fought for us, saved us. In our world, that makes you one of us, even if you never went through buds. He pressed a patch into her hand. Besides, there is an inscription on the back. Jordan flipped it over and read the words etched there. To Phantom, the sniper who saved Team 5, with respect and gratitude, Team 5. Tears threatened, but she blinked them back, maintaining the composure she had built over years of hiding vulnerability. Thank you, sir. No, Reyes, thank you, Foster said, his voice rough with emotion. We were dead, all of us, and you brought us home. That is not something we will ever forget. As Jordan walked across the base toward her quarters, the seal patch resting in her pocket and the future of an instructor ahead, she let her mind trace the road that had carried her here. Every doubt, every dismissal, every time someone questioned whether she belonged, all of it had built toward this moment. The weight of years spent proving herself pressed against the lightness of finally being recognized. She thought of the girl from Colorado who had learned to track elk in the mountains, who had poured countless hours into mastering her craft, while others insisted she was too small, too weak, too female to ever be a warrior. Her father's patient voice echoed in memory, teaching her to read signs in nature, to see what others missed, to trust her instincts even when everyone else doubted. She thought about the 15 enemy fighters who had discovered too late that the most dangerous predator in any forest isn't the largest or the loudest. It's the one you never see until it's over. They had planned a perfect ambush, positioned themselves with discipline, waited with patience. But they hadn't accounted for someone like her, someone who could read a forest like a book and deliver justice from distances they couldn't imagine. She thought about the 8 seals alive because she refused to accept that she didn't belong, because she proved her worth when the stakes were highest, because she did her job with such precision that even skeptics were forced to acknowledge her. Commander Okonkwo's transformation from dismissive to respectful played through her mind, a testament to what performance under pressure could achieve. Jordan Reyes had been called plenty in her career. Too young, too small, too female, untested, unreliable, a token hire who would freeze under fire. But after that day in the woods of Cordova, she would be called something else. The sniper who hunted the hunters. The one who saved Team 5. The warrior who proved that strength comes in all forms and that skill has no gender requirement. She hadn't earned her place among the elite by demanding respect. She earned it by performing at a level where respect was the only possible response. 15 shots, 15 kills, 0 friendly casualties. Numbers that would be studied, analyzed, and taught to future generations of snipers. Her performance had become a case study in excellence under impossible conditions. And somewhere in a Pentagon briefing room, senior officers were studying the reports of a 26-year-old female sniper who eliminated 15 enemy fighters with flawless precision while under fire, reshaping what they thought they knew about women in combat. The old assumptions were crumbling under the weight of undeniable evidence. The world was shifting slowly but steadily, and Jordan Reyes had helped push it forward one perfect shot at a time. Not through politics or rhetoric, not through demands or protests, but through performance that could not be dismissed or explained away. She had torn down barriers not by smashing into them head-on, but by being so undeniably excellent that they collapsed under their own weight. For a sniper, excellence is counted in lives saved and threats erased. 15 for 15. Perfect performance when perfection was the only thing that could save 8 lives. Every calculation correct, every adjustment precise, every shot delivered exactly where it needed to go. In a profession measured by millimeters and seconds, she had been flawless. Reyes, wait up, a voice called from behind. Jordan turned to see Sam Gwynn jogging toward her, something wrapped in canvas under his arm, a little winded from the effort. Got a minute? He asked. Of course, sir, Jordan replied. Stop with the sir. You saved my life. Call me Doc like everyone else. He extended the canvas bundle. The team wanted you to have this. Jordan unwrapped it carefully, her fingers tracing the leather. In her hands was a custom-made rifle case, burnt etched with an inscription that made her throat tight. SSGT Jordan Phantom Reyes, Team 5 Guardian Angel, 15-0. We had it made at the base leather shop, and Gwen explained, pride evident in his voice. Figured your rifle deserves a case that reflects what it did for us, what you did for us. Jordan ran her fingers across the lettering, emotion pressing against her carefully maintained composure. Doc, I do not even know what to say. Don't say anything, Gwen replied warmly. Just keep being the badass sniper who doesn't let good people die on her watch. His voice turned serious, the levity fading as he met her eyes. You know what the guys are saying? They're saying having you on Overwatch is like having a guardian angel with a rifle. They feel safer knowing Phantom is watching. That is what I am here for, Jordan said, her voice tight with the weight of responsibility and gratitude. No, you are here because you are exceptional at what you do, Gwen corrected gently. The guardian angel part is just a bonus. He grinned then, breaking the emotional tension. Oh, and Okonkwo wanted me to tell you something. He has already put in the paperwork to have you permanently assigned to Team 5 operations. Every mission, every deployment. Said, and I quote, I was stupid enough to doubt her once. I will not make that mistake again. Jordan smiled despite the churn of emotions inside her. Tell him I accept. Already figured you would, Gwen said, clasping her shoulder with genuine affection. Welcome to the family, Phantom. And thanks for keeping us alive long enough to still be here. As Nguyen walked away, Jordan stood alone in the fading light, cradling the rifle case that meant more than any medal or commendation ever could. It symbolized acceptance, respect, and the undeniable truth that she had earned her place among warriors through skill and courage no one could dismiss. The inscription wasn't just her name and call sign. It was proof that she had done something that mattered, something that would be remembered. Her mind drifted to tomorrow and the days beyond. The advanced sniper course awaited, then the role of instructor at the Special Operations Sniper Training Battalion. She would be stepping into rooms full of men who would doubt her, question her credentials, wonder if she belonged. The same skepticism she had faced her entire career would be waiting there too. But now she had an answer they couldn't argue with. She had Team 5, alive and grateful. She had 15 enemy fighters eliminated with perfect accuracy under impossible conditions. She had Commander Okonkwo's transformation from dismissive to respectful, from prejudice to enlightened. She had General Ellsworth's recognition and the Silver Star recommendation. Most importantly, she had proof that excellence transcends gender. Jordan thought about the lessons she would pass down to the next generation of shooters, men and women alike. Not just windage and elevation, not just breathing techniques and trigger control, but the deeper truths she had learned through years of being doubted. Perseverance in the face of dismissal. Resilience when others question your worth. The discipline to prove yourself through performance rather than argument. The confidence to trust your skills even when authority figures don't. Her phone buzzed, breaking her contemplation. A message from her father back in Colorado. Heard something happen overseas. You okay, kiddo? Jordan smiled as she typed back, warmth flooding through her. Better than okay, Dad. I finally got to show them what you taught me. Turns out tracking elk in the mountains translates pretty well to other kinds of hunting. His reply came instantly, and she could hear his voice in the words. That is my girl. Your mother would be so proud. Hell, I am proud. Love you, sweetheart. Love you too, Dad, she wrote back. Her eyes stinging with tears she finally allowed herself to feel. She lifted her gaze to the darkening sky where the first stars were breaking through the evening haze. Somewhere out there in forests and mountains and battlefields she hadn't yet seen, there would be warriors who needed her skills. Lives waiting to be saved, enemies waiting to be stopped, missions that would test everything she had learned and push her to grow further. And she was ready, not because she had something to prove anymore. She had already done that in the woods of Cordova with 15 perfect shots and 8 lives saved. But because this was who she was at her core. A sniper, a protector, a phantom watching over those who needed it most. A warrior who had earned her place not through politics or quotas, but through skill demonstrated when lives hung in the balance. Jordan Reyes walked toward her quarters, custom rifle case in hand, seal patch in her pocket, and a future brimming with possibilities ahead. Behind her was the doubted sniper, the woman dismissed as a diversity hire who would freeze under fire. Ahead of her was the legend she was becoming, the instructor who would shape the next generation, the operator whose name would be spoken with respect in special operations communities around the world. The transformation was complete, earned through performance that left no room for doubt. In the forest where 15 enemies had fallen and 8 seals had lived, the wind whispered through the trees, carrying the tale of that day. A phantom proved that the deadliest warrior isn't always who you expect. Sometimes it's the quiet woman with a rifle who refuses to let good people die. Sometimes it's the hunter no one saw coming, the predator who moved through shadows and delivered precision when chaos reigned. Sometimes it's the person everyone underestimated, and that truth Jordan knew with absolute certainty was more than fine with her. She had never needed universal acceptance or validation from every skeptic. She just needed to be excellent at her craft, to save lives when it mattered most, to prove through action what words could never convey. The next morning, Jordan reported to the operations center for her final briefing before transitioning to her new assignment. Major Fletcher was there along with several other officers who had reviewed her performance data. The atmosphere was different now, marked by professional respect rather than the skepticism that had shadowed her career. Staff Sergeant Reyes, Fletcher began formally. Your orders have been cut. You will report to the Special Operations Sniper Training Battalion at Fort Benning in 30 days. During that time, you are authorized leave to visit family before beginning your instructor duties. Thank you, sir, Jordan replied. Fletcher's expression softened slightly. Reyes, I want you to know something. What you accomplished in Cordova is already changing minds at the highest levels of command. The performance data, the testimony from Commander Okonkwo and his team, the tactical analysis of your engagement, all of it is being circulated as a case study in excellence under pressure. You are opening doors for every woman who comes after you. That was never my goal, sir, Jordan said honestly. I just wanted to do my job well. I know, Fletcher replied. And that is exactly why your impact is so powerful. You didn't demand recognition. You earned it so completely that it could not be denied. That is the kind of leadership we need in our training programs. He handed her a folder. These are letters of recommendation from every member of Team 5, from Commander Okonkwo, from General Ellsworth, and from me. You will face resistance at the sniper school, people who question your credentials or doubt your ability to teach. When that happens, let them read these. Let them see what warriors who have been saved by your skill have to say about you. Jordan accepted the folder, understanding the weight of what it represented. Sir, I appreciate this more than I can express. You have earned every word in there, Fletcher said firmly. Now go home, see your family, and come back ready to shape the future of Special Operations Sniper training. 2 weeks later, Jordan stood in the mountains of Colorado, rifle in hand, tracking with her father through the same terrain where she had learned the skills that had saved 8 lives halfway around the world. The elk they followed moved through dense timber with practiced wariness, but Jordan could read every sign, every disturbance in a natural pattern. Her father watched her with quiet pride. You move different now, he observed. More confident, more certain. I know what I am capable of now, Jordan replied simply. They crested a ridge and looked out over the valley below, the same landscape where a young girl had first learned to see what others missed. Her father spoke softly, his voice carrying the weight of a parent's deepest pride. Your mother used to worry, you know, when you joined the army, when you became a sniper. She worried the world wouldn't see what I saw in you, that they would judge you for being a woman instead of recognizing the warrior you were becoming. Jordan felt tears threatening, but kept them at bay. What do you think she would say now? Her father smiled, his eyes distant with memory and emotion. I think she would say you proved exactly what we always knew. That excellence has nothing to do with gender and everything to do with dedication, skill, and heart. They stood together in the mountain's silence, father and daughter, connected by years of shared knowledge and the deep satisfaction of seeing potential fully realized. Jordan had walked a path few women had traveled, faced obstacles that would have broken lesser spirits, and emerged not bitter but stronger, not demanding but proven. "I'm going to be teaching soon," Jordan said, "training the next generation of snipers. Some of them will doubt me, just like Commander Okonkwo did. Some will question whether I belong in that instructor role." Her father turned to face her fully, his weathered hands gripping her shoulders. "Then you do exactly what you have always done. You show them, through your knowledge, through your skill, through the undeniable evidence of your competence. You teach them that the best warriors are the ones who can see what others miss, who can perform when pressure crushes everyone else, who can save lives through precision and discipline." He smiled, pride radiating from every line of his face. "And when they doubt you, you remind them about Cordova. About 15 shots and 15 saves. About 8 men who went home to their families because you refused to let prejudice stop you from doing your job. That is your answer to every skeptic." Jordan nodded, feeling the truth of his words settle deep in her bones. "I won't let you down, Dad. I won't let Mom's memory down. And I won't let down all the women who will come after me, who will face the same doubts I faced." "You can never let us down," her father said firmly. "You have already exceeded every hope we ever had for you. Now go be the teacher those future snipers need, the one who understands both the technical mastery and the mental strength required to succeed in a field that doesn't always welcome you." When Jordan returned to base 2 weeks later, the atmosphere had shifted perceptibly. Word of her performance had spread through the special operations community like wildfire. Operators who had never spoken to her before nodded as she passed. Senior NCOs stopped to shake her hand. Even officers who had previously ignored her now acknowledged her presence with respect. The legend of the Phantom who saved Team 5 had taken on a life of its own, growing with each retelling but always anchored in the undeniable facts. 15 enemies eliminated. 8 Americans saved. Perfect accuracy under impossible conditions. A female sniper who had accomplished what many male snipers considered beyond their capabilities. On her final day before departing for Fort Benning, Commander Okonkwo requested a private meeting. Jordan arrived at his office uncertain what to expect. He stood when she entered, his legs still showing signs of the injury from Cordova, and gestured to a chair. "Staff Sergeant Reyes," he began formally, then paused, seeming to struggle with words. "I have spent the last month thinking about what happened in that forest, about my prejudice, and how close it came to killing my entire team." Sir Jordan started, but he held up a hand. "Please let me finish." Okonkwo's voice carried the weight of hard-learned wisdom. "I was wrong about you in every possible way. I judged you based on gender instead of skill, dismissed your warnings because of bias rather than evidence, and nearly cost 8 lives because I couldn't see past my own prejudice. That kind of failure isn't just wrong, it is deadly." He met her eyes directly. "You saved my life and the lives of my men. But more than that, you taught me a lesson I should have learned long ago. The military is stronger when we judge people by their abilities rather than their demographics. We need the best warriors regardless of gender, race, or background. And you proved beyond any shadow of doubt that you are among the very best." "Thank you, sir," Jordan said quietly. "That means more coming from you than you might realize." Okonkwo smiled faintly. "I'm not the same officer I was before Cordova. You changed me, made me better, forced me to confront beliefs I didn't even realize I held. I will carry that lesson for the rest of my career, and I will make damn sure every operator I lead understands that excellence has no gender requirement." He extended his hand one final time. "Go teach the next generation what you taught me, Phantom. The special operations community needs more warriors like you." Jordan left his office feeling the weight of transformation, not just her own, but his as well. She had changed Commander Marcus Okonkwo from a man who dismissed her as a diversity hire into a leader who understood that strength comes in forms we don't always expect. That change would ripple outward, affecting every operator he led, every decision he made, every young soldier who looked to him for guidance. The next morning, Jordan packed her gear methodically, each item a piece of the warrior she had become. Her Mk-20 SSR went into the custom rifle case from Team 5, the inscription a permanent reminder of what she had accomplished. The seal patch went into her personal effects, a symbol of acceptance from brothers who had learned the hard way not to judge a book by its cover. As she prepared to depart, Travis Foster appeared one last time. "The whole team want to be here, but they're on mission rotation," he explained. "So I am representing all of us when I say this. You're always welcome with Team 5. Anytime, any place, any mission. You're family now and forever." "That means everything to me," Jordan replied, her voice thick with emotion she no longer tried to hide. "We mean it," Foster said seriously. "Okonkwo has already told Command that for any high-risk operation, he wants you on Overwatch if you are available. Said he trusts you more than anyone else to keep his team alive. That is the highest compliment a SEAL commander can give." Jordan boarded the transport that would take her to Fort Benning, to the Special Operations Sniper Training Battalion, to a future where she would shape warriors who might face the same doubts she had overcome. Through the window, she watched the base fade into the distance, the place where she had been dismissed and then vindicated, where she had proven that excellence transcends every artificial barrier we construct. At Fort Benning, the advanced sniper course awaited, and she knew the instructors there would watch her closely, measuring her against standards that had been set by men for men. Some would be skeptical, some openly hostile, some merely curious to see if the legend matched reality. She was ready for all of it because she carried proof that could not be argued with. 15 for 15. Perfect performance under impossible conditions. 8 lives saved when no one else could have saved them. A Silver Star recommendation. Letters from warriors who trusted her with their lives. And most importantly, the absolute confidence that comes from knowing what you are capable of when everything is on the line. Jordan Reyes was not walking into Fort Benning as a woman trying to prove she belonged. She was walking in as a warrior who had already proven it beyond any reasonable doubt. The question was not whether she was good enough. The question was whether they were ready to learn from someone who had accomplished what few of them ever would. In the forests of Cordova, 15 enemy fighters had learned the hard way that the deadliest predator is not always what you expect. 8 SEALs had learned that salvation sometimes comes from the person you dismissed. Commander Okonkwo had learned that prejudice can kill and excellence has no gender. Now Jordan would teach those same lessons to the next generation. Not through lectures, but through the undeniable evidence of her own performance. She thought about the young women who would come after her, who would face instructors who doubted them, commanders who dismissed them, teammates who questioned whether they belonged. She would be there to show them that the path existed, that it could be walked, that excellence was the only answer anyone needed. The wind whispered through her memory, carrying echoes of that day, when a phantom moved through shadows and delivered 15 whispers of death to save 8 whispers of life. That was her story, her proof, her legacy. Not just for herself, but for every warrior who would follow, who would face doubt and overcome it through skill so undeniable that respect became inevitable. Jordan Reyes closed her eyes and let herself feel the satisfaction of a mission completed, a barrier broken, a life lived on her own terms. She had been told she was too young, too small, too female. She had been called a diversity hire who would freeze under fire. She had been dismissed, doubted, and denied. And then she had saved 8 lives with 15 perfect shots and changed everything. That was more than fine with her. That was exactly who she had always known she could be. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories like this.